Let my people go, he said again. Staff to a serpent, river red like pain. Frogs in the ovens, dust turned to flies. Still Pharaoh's heart kept turning to ice.
Imagine you're standing in total darkness. Not nighttime darkness and not close your eyes darkness. It's a darkness so thick and pervasive, you can feel it pressing against your skin. And there's been 3 days of it. No sun, no stars, and no flame that can stay lit. And your neighbors are screaming. Their cattle are dead, and the water, it turned to blood weeks ago. But inside your house, there's actually light. The lamps stay lit. You don't know why. You just know that God told you to trust him. And somehow, impossibly, your lamp is still burning. That's the story of Exodus chapters 7 through 13. And this week, we're going to live inside of it and really, truly explore it. So welcome to Come Listen With Me. I'm Ricky Black, a.k.a. Elder Eliezer, and today we're setting the table for one of the most dramatic and theologically rich weeks in the entire Old Testament. It's week 15, Exodus chapter 7 through 13, titled, Remember This Day in Which Ye Came Out from Egypt. That's the lesson plan for this week. Now, before we dive in, let's do a quick look back. See, last week was a special week. We paused our Exodus journey for Easter and Holy Week. In fact, today's Sunday preview is Easter Sunday, and we're spending time celebrating the resurrection. So if you haven't watched the final deep dive of the week on the resurrection, go and check it out here, right? I think this is where the box will show up. But we spent time with the Savior walking through those final sacred days from the triumphal entry to the empty tomb. But the week before that, that's when we cracked open the book of Exodus for the very first time this year, reading chapters 1 through 6. And we're going to continue from there, right? We met a baby in a basket. We watched Moses grow up in the Pharaoh's palace and then fleeing to Midian, right? Marrying Zipporah, and then standing before a burning bush on holy ground where God revealed his name. I am that I am. And we left off with Moses and Aaron standing before the Pharaoh for the first time, delivering that thunderbolt of a message. Thus saith the Lord of God of Israel, let my people go. And still, Pharaoh said no, absolutely not. And that's where this week is going to pick up. Now, Exodus 7 through 13 is the plague narrative and the Passover. So I want to be candid with you. This might be the single most important typological section in the Old Testament. Because here's what's happening at the surface level. God sends 10 plagues against Egypt. Pharaoh keeps refusing to let Israel go. His heart hardens again and again. And finally, after the 10th and most devastating plague, the death of the firstborn, Pharaoh breaks and Israel walks out of Egypt for the first time in over 400 years. That's the story. But underneath the story, well, every single layer points to Jesus Christ. The lamb without blemish, Christ. The blood on the doorpost, the atonement. The unleavened bread, purity and freedom from corruption. The bitter herbs, the bitterness of sin and captivity. Eating in haste, dressed to leave, well, it's the urgency of fleeing sin. The death of the firstborn, well, only the sacrifice of the firstborn, Jesus Christ, the Lamb of God, can save us. So the Come Follow Me manual, it puts it perfectly. It says, in every case of spiritual captivity, there truly is only one way to escape. It is only the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, the blood of the Lamb, without blemish, that will save us. We're also going to kind of wrestle with one of the biggest questions in the scriptures. Did God harden Pharaoh's heart, or did Pharaoh harden his own? Now, the Joseph Smith translation gives us a critical correction on that, and it changes everything about how we understand agency, resistance, and what it means to have a soft heart. All right, so let's talk about how we're going to move through this material. I've broken it into 6 days, Monday through Saturday, so you can take it a piece at a time and just really ponder and dissect each section, and then you'll be ready to go on Sunday for Sunday school to have a really detailed discussion. So day 1, Monday, it's April 6th. It's going to be the staff, the serpent, and the sovereignty of God, right? That'll be Exodus 7, verses 1 through 25. And this is Moses as God to Pharaoh, right? This is where Aaron's rod becomes a serpent and swallowing the magician serpents. We also get the first plague, the Nile turning to blood. Day 2, for Tuesday, it's going to be the plagues of the escalation that it's going to go through, right? So Exodus 8 through chapter 9, verse 7. You got frogs, lice, flies, and a disease on the livestock. So watch for the moment that the magicians throw up their hands and tell Pharaoh, this is the finger of God. Day 3, Wednesday, is going to be the powers of heaven shaking Egypt, right? So it's going to be Exodus 9, picking up at verse 8, and all the way through chapter 10, verse 29. That's where we get the boils, hail mingled with fire, locusts, and then 3 days of darkness so thick you can actually feel it. And this is where Egypt's greatest god, Ra, the sun god, goes dark. And meanwhile, Israel has light in their dwellings. For day 4, Thursday, it's going to be all about blood of the lamb. So Exodus 11 through chapter 12, verse 42. So it's a big one, right? This is Passover being instituted. Every detail, the lamb, the blood, the bread, the hyssop, all of it are pointing to Christ. So you're going to want to take your time with it that day. Day 5, Friday, just going to call that one Remember. It's going to be Exodus 12, verses 14 through 27, and then chapter 13, verses 1 through 16. So the Passover becomes a perpetual ordinance. The firstborn are consecrated, and will also connect the Passover feast directly to the sacrament that we take every Sunday. And the final day, day 6 on Saturday, it's going to be all about walking out in faith. So that'll be Exodus 12, verses 29 through chapter 13, verse 22. So Israel finally leaves Egypt, 600,000 men, plus women and children, walking into the wilderness. And God goes before them, a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. He does not leave them. So that's 6 days, and that's the journey. And I promise, if you show up each day and you really dig into these chapters, this week will change how you see the sacrament for the rest of your life. Now, as you all know, every week I write and produce an original song to go on with our study. And I have to tell you, this one, it really does hit different. I know I may have said that before, but I mean it on this one. And I'm not just saying that, right? So the missionaries in my area have had access to, since last October, to all the music that I've written for this year. And this week's songs, hands down, has been everybody's favorite. Anytime I meet a new missionary, this is the first one they talk about. So this week's song is called Remember This Day. It's an alt-pop, minimal electro-pop track. It's punchy, it's percussive, and it's got some intentional restraining going on. So the space in the music, it's the hook, right? It's built around a dry kick and snare groove. It's got distorted bass synths and these sort of whispered, syncopated vocals trying to carry on a conversation. So like the text is talking to you across the centuries. Now the lyrics walk through the entire plague narrative in the Passover beat by beat. And you'll hear lines like, staff to serpent, river red like pain, frogs in the ovens, dust turned to flies, still Pharaoh's heart kept turning to ice. And the chorus lands on the command that echoes through the whole week. Remember this day, when the chains came loose, when mercy opened like a morning through, blood on the door and a lamp in the room, unleavened bread and a broad moon. There's also a bridge section that might be one of my favorite sections. It drops into the raw details of the Passover meal. A lamb with no blemish, bone unbroke, roasted and ready as midnight spoke. Belt on the waist, staff in hand, eat it in haste at the Lord's command. And it's going to close with this. If the night grows heavy and the road feels long, paint the door red and sing the song. He remembers his covenant, so will we, from Egypt's shadow to liberty. So the link, it's in the description below, and I'll have it on the screen right now, right up here. And you heard a bit in the intro, and you'll get to hear it in the outro as well. So listen to it this week as you read. Let it be a companion to your study. I wrote it so that every time you hear the chorus, you're rehearsing the theology of Passover. All right, so here's my invitation to you for this week. Don't just read the plagues as some sort of action story, and don't just check the boxes. Take time with the Passover the way an Israelite family would have sat with it that first night. Sandals on, staff in hand, bread still warm and doorpost drying, listening for the sound of deliverance. And then on Sunday, when you take the sacrament, remember that you are continuing what they started. The bread, the covenant, the remembrance. From that midnight in Goshen to your chapel this Sunday, it's the same promise, the same Lamb, the same God who passes over his people with mercy and calls them out of bondage. So remember this day. Teach it to your children, write it on your hearts, and walk forward with the same faith those families carried when they stepped out of Egypt into the unknown, following a pillar of cloud and a pillar of fire into the wilderness, just trusting that God was out ahead of them. He was then, and he is now. So thank you for being here, this preview. I'm so excited to walk through this week with you, and make sure you subscribe. Share this with someone who's studying Come Follow Me, and drop me a comment. Let me know which day you're most looking forward to. And don't forget to check out Remember This Day on the link. As always, I appreciate you all, and thank you for choosing to spend some of your precious time to come listen with me.
Hearts like flame, with an outstretched arm, he called our name. Remember this day, teach every child. Love passed over and let us out. If the night grows heavy and the road feels long, paint the door red and sing this song. He remembers his covenant so